To a brand new series. Today we're going to ask ourselves a question: which is the fastest F1 car in F1 2019? Now, the way this new series is going to work, we're going to obviously start off today and we're going to whittle down one car by one until, of course, we have our overall fastest car. Now, my bet is going to be on either Ferrari or Mercedes, of course. I think that's the wisest bet you can go for. Sorry if I'm causing anyone nausea through flicking through them so quickly, but yeah, my bet is either on the Ferrari or Mercedes or Ferrari, should I say. You know, but today we're going to start off at the Circuit of Catalunya, where obviously testing commences in roughly 1 week's time. Now, the way it's going to work, obviously each car will get one flying lap to do a lap, so one warm-up lap followed by a flying lap. Okay, and that's the way obviously I'm going to do it, and hopefully you lot will enjoy it that way. So basically it gives me effectively one attempt to get it right or bust, effectively. That is basically how it is basically today. So it's either get it right or bust, really. So yeah. First up will be the Williams, followed obviously in like championship finishing order of previous season. So yeah, here we go then. So this will be the warm-up lap, obviously. So I'll just warm up and get used to the car, followed by a fairly good, hopefully, lap. Now the circuits I'm going to use, today we're going to eliminate 5 cars, okay, obviously, then we're going to go to Melbourne, okay, that'll be probably either tomorrow, and we'll eliminate a further 3 cars, okay, and after we've been to Melbourne, I'll set a final, probably, I'm not too sure where the final will be. Maybe either France, maybe Germany, I'm not too sure. We'll soon see where the final will be. And I hope to have this wrapped up in about 3 days, this series. So, yeah. Here we go then. So, obviously, this is obviously a slow lap, so should be easily able to beat it in the Williams here. I don't expect the Williams car to go through, quite frankly. I think that'll be a little bit ambitious, but here we go then. So starting our lap off, then here in the Williams, out of the final corner, down, open up the DRS, then here, obviously using now full power as we go into turn 1. Pick up braking in between the 115 meter board, and that's an invalid lap, so we will restart the lap. Obviously, for invalid laps, I will count them unless obviously, you know, I believe there's been a major error sort of thing. So that time I won't count, as we were very early on in the lap. So here we go then, out of the final corner. Open up the DRS again, down into turn 1. And literally just trying to power our way through turns 1, 2 and 3 up the hill now as we go towards turn 4. And use curb into turn 5, left-hander. Use path of release rolling resistance here. And up the hill. Now this is where, obviously, Williams, I feel, going to be its slowest or its weakest. And we will count the lap, because I feel like lap's good enough either way, and I don't want to restart now. we won't count the lap. We're going to have to restart. So Williams going to get like 2 laps here, effectively, even though that was a decent run. I thought it was a decent run and the best we would have got in the Williams, because I was sort of pushing it on its limit. And the Williams isn't necessarily the quickest car to drive anyway. Like, in a way, I'm sort of writing the Williams off here, even before we started. Which I know is a bit wrong of me, technically. Alright, through turns 1, and you'll see what I mean. Like, Williams isn't easy to drive. It's quite an unstable car. It doesn't ride the bumps as well, maybe, as other cars that will drive tonight. But it is a good car, if that makes sense. Like, still a Formula 1 car. You'd happily drive it as a civilian, if that makes sense. Of course, I think anyone would drive it. But from a Formula 1 point of view, slowest car on the grid. And you can see why, because it just doesn't maybe take corners as good or as effectively maybe as it should. Certainly even in time trial. I know this isn't real life, maybe there is more I can get out of a car on a game, but at the end of the day, yeah, gone a bit deep there, well, that's okay. So open up the car. Through final corner. Right, that's it. 21.3. I'm gonna accept that lap, even though it is invalid. I am gonna accept it because obviously, yeah, 21.3 is the benchmark then there to beat. Next up, obviously, Red Bull, Toro Rosso, Honda. Now, obviously, we know the benchmark is a 21.3. So, obviously, I have got to note that down at time, okay? And as I say, the 5 slowest cars will be eliminated. I imagine that will be one of them, of course. Then there. So, 121.369, I believe it was, if I'm correct. So, right, next up is the Toro Rosso. So, here we go then. In a Toro Rosso. Red Bull, Honda. Now, this car actually made the podium twice last season. Once in the German Grand Prix. And it made it again, actually, at the, obviously, the Brazilian Grand Prix later on in the season. With, obviously, sorry, not Danny Kvyat, with Pierre Gasly. So, technically made podium twice in one season then here. And already, I feel like we're ahead, like, you know, on the lap time. Again, I don't expect this car to be making it through into the next stage, but I do expect it to do somewhat better than the Williams as we go for a little bit of a slider. Well, that's okay. I am going to do a second lap because this lap hasn't been necessarily perfect, but as you can see, we're already around similar time by the time we get to here, but I feel like there's more time to be won here in this Williams, sorry, in the Toro Rosso. Like 100%, and that's the invalid lap for next lap. They're having a joke. I did that in the Williams, okay, did not get invalid lap. You saw that, guys. Yeah, do it there, then you get invalid lap. Ugh, it's a bit of a joke, this game sometimes, but yeah, that's the game for you. Right, second attempt. So I felt a lot more comfortable on my first lap anyway with the Toro Rosso car. Not gonna lie, there felt a whole lot more comfortable. Just the way this car handles, feels Just a bit more, I don't know, I'm not going to say natural's the word, but certainly a bit better. Oh dear. Okay, now I'm getting a bit greedy, I guess. Right, let's try and curve it. Let's get in a lap. Okay. Again, we only get one lap, so it is difficult to sometimes do one flying lap. You know, especially whilst talking. Sometimes when you talk and drive, you know, it can be a bit difficult, distracting a little bit. Right, down in turn 1. Through turn 2, up through turn 3. Power, power, power. This is going to be probably invalid. If it ain't, I'd be very shocked. I knew that was invalid, but when I went off the circuit, I just knew I was invalid. How many times have we now restarted this lap this time? This is like our 4th attempt in the Toro Rosso, and this is sometimes annoying when you just have to continually restart. Right. Because I know there's the time in this car, so I want to get a representative lap, like, you know, of the Toro Rosso. Do it now. Here we go then. Open up the car. Use the DRS now. So this is certainly a very good lap in the Toro Rosso. See what we do. Coming out final corner. It's a 1:20.1, so that is the fastest time then, and the new time to beat then. So Williams currently sits in second still. You know, really the first 5 cars that comes around will obviously probably demote the Williams. So Williams will probably be out by the time we probably get to either the Renault or the McLarens. You know, I'd say by the time we get to Renault will be the car that will knock, obviously, the Williams out. Right, now it's the Alfa. Alfa had a decent season last season, so did they have also in 2018 as well, for good measure. But here we go then, first Ferrari-powered engine, first Ferrari-powered car, and it's the Alfa then. Here we go then, open up the gears, then for turn 1, then obviously brake a little bit early. Now, obviously, the Alfa, you know, I can't remember whether it was any good at this circuit in real life, but that's an invalid lap either way then there. So, obviously, we will restart this lap, obviously, for the benefit, obviously, of the video, and for the benefit of being fair. We've given the Toro Rosso 4 goes. We've given, obviously, the Williams about 4 goes. So, obviously, I want to try and get in laps in one swoop now. Very nice through turns 1 and 2, have to say. And again, same error, same mistake, almost identical. Just running slightly, ever so slightly wide. I guess you could call it maximising the track, but you know, obviously the game sees it as taking advantage of the track, I guess. Right, let's try and not repeat that for a third time. Third time lucky then, shall we say. Right, I don't think we will repeat it third time, because took in a slightly different line, but still a decent line than that. So through first sector, we're about 10th up overall. Now obviously powering out of that. Oh, again, another slide. It is actually a difficult circuit to drive Spain. It's a nice circuit, but it's actually quite difficult. Sometimes, you know, you don't realise. I'm a bit rusty. You know, I haven't played this game maybe since early January, believe it or not. Very early January. So I am very much rusty. I've taken a good break from F1 2019, you know, and to come back sometimes can be like learning the game all over again. Like, eventually it just comes naturally to you. But nonetheless, it's still not nice having to come back from a break. So actually my lap times aren't that bad necessarily when I can hook up a lap. It's just obviously when you can't hook up a lap, your lap is dreadful, or can be dreadful. So right now we're 10th down. This has been a fairly decent solid lap actually. Just now got hope we can do something. Final corner and final corner, and it is actually faster. It is a 21.1, so that is actually slightly faster than the Toro Rosso. I will log that down. I don't want to repeat that lap, so it was a 21.20.111 for the Alpha. So obviously the Alpha now moves up into first place, whilst that does put the Toro Rosso down now into second place. Next up is obviously, the Racing Point car, which is going to be rebranded as Aston Martin for 2021. Obviously, I don't know how you guys feel about that. Personally, myself, I quite like the idea of it being Aston Martin, having a big title sponsor in Formula 1 once again. We should probably get back like them classic green liveries, which I think will be amazing to look at. The racing green. But yeah, you know, I will miss also the pink liveries. Like, I see these liveries as some of the best liveries in Formula 1's history as well, quite frankly. Anyway, down into the first corner, and obviously first corner going well. So right, let's see how we can do in the Racing Point. Obviously this is a car that in truth does sort of do very well. It's one of the better midfield cars, obviously, that people would like to drive. Obviously Sergio Perez, good midfield driver he is, of course. Up through square. Now power down the back straight. Alright, this is where I feel like this car should do okay, because obviously downforce does have more than I feel the Alpha and Toro Rosso put together. And only a 10th, so we are going to restart the lap, but obviously we're only restarting because of the invalid lap, so we're going to give it another crack here. I feel like there was more time in that lap to be won, maybe more like 3 or 4 tenths, but let's see. Alright, opening up DRS down the main straight here. And that's us off into the barriers then there. So, right now, by the way, guys, Alfa Romeo leading the way with the 1:20.11, followed very closely by Toro Rosso with a 1:21.58. So, right now, obviously, Toro Rosso are leading the way, very closely though followed. So, still all to play for, obviously, in terms of that sense. But, obviously, there's still, maybe faster cars to come as well. Certainly in the Ferrari, Red Bull, and obviously Mercedes car, yet to still get a lap in. Obviously, in terms of, like, now we're sort of in that zone, okay, right now, where any of the next three cars could knock one another out. Because, right, we've got obviously McLaren. Again, I don't know whether that's going to make it through. We've obviously also got Renault. Again, this is now where we're going to have a very difficult one between Renault, I think, Racing Point, and McLaren. Then, soon as we get to Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes, you know, we're going to see things be a little bit different. So, obviously, yeah, you know, this is really going to be a little bit of a more difficult now part of the session, let's say, where it's going to be a bit more nip and tuck, and any one of them could go through still. So, opening up the DRS here. Oh, I've broken. Have I broken too late? No. It's fine. That's good. Thought I broke a little bit late there. And now the final corner, 3/10 up. Feel like that's a lot better of a lap. So 3/10, it's a 1:19.7. So that's a decent lap then there from myself then. 19.7s we're now in. So yeah, we are getting faster. Obviously the car though is better as well. So you have to take that into consideration. We're still, by the way, not even off the last spot in the leaderboard. We should probably, in one of the next few cars, certainly as soon as we step into Red Bull, get off the top, off the bottom of the leaderboard. But just to put that into context, that lap, actually, you know, it ain't a bad lap, because if you think of it, the worst time on the leaderboard is actually done by a Ferrari, except ourselves, of course. So really, you know, our lap time isn't really that bad in truth. It's actually pretty decent if you put that into context. Yeah, you know, because, again, so right, next up is the McLaren. So Racing Point does go top. Right now, obviously, that does then put down the Alfa Romeo to second. Toro Rosso is currently sat in third, followed by, obviously, the Williams car. We've still got McLaren, Renault, and Haas to come. So still got some teams to come. Certainly still. But we're now in the McLaren, and again, you know, I expect a slightly faster time. No, I don't. In fact, we almost ended up in one. We haven't even done a lap yet. So yeah, but no, in all fairness, I do expect a slightly faster time. I don't know how much faster, but faster indeed. Considering that in 2019, that this turned out to be the fourth best car on the grid. Got one podium this car did, but scored and dominated that midfield battle, really. So yeah, you know, wasn't a bad car if it dominated the midfield then, I guess. And I see why, it's got so much grip, quite frankly. Very good handling. Very good handling indeed. Just got so much grip, I'll tell you that now. We will restart the lap, because, again, I don't really like invalid laps, because it sort of messes up the timesheets a little bit, if that makes sense. I'll just like, you know, gain laps in that are nice and clean. Alright. In terms of straight line pace, it isn't as quick as the Mercedes powered Racing Point. Obviously that's quicker by the looks of it. But this isn't necessarily that bad in terms of its handling abilities. It's actually very, very good. It's just, you know, really right now what's holding its back is a bit of oomph. It needs a bit more power. But it's good in terms of its handling. It's got very good grip. So in this final sector, I'm going to expect this car to be rather rapid, in fact. And just see how much time this McLaren has made up. 3/10 of a second. That is a good lap indeed. It's a 1:19.4. So that is now us off the bottom of the leaderboard in a McLaren, of course. And what a lap indeed. Okay, that was a very good lap from the McLaren. Which obviously now puts, I believe, what did Williams do? Williams did a 1:21, so I don't know. I think Williams is currently saying 5th, if my maths is good, because we've had how many cars now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, Williams is saying 5th, followed by Toro Rosso. So right now, every car that we're just going in next seems to be going faster, and faster. Like, you know, obviously McLaren obviously sat top of the table right now. Whether or not that'll be the case, you know, by the end of the session, I honestly do not know. Obviously, right now it's very difficult to say, because obviously still got plenty cars to come, still got a further 5 cars to come. You know, 3 of them which I think will get safely through. The other 2 are certainly going to be a little bit closer to the McLaren. But here we go then. Then the final corner, open up the DRS and power our way down the back straight. You just see how good this car is straight line wise. It just does the job. And in the corners, seemingly not too bad. Maybe a little bit worse than McLaren, I'm not going to lie. Feels like a bit heavier, but that's okay, because you make up for it on power. That's more than fine by me. Using all the track width there that's available to us as we now skittle our way through the S's and then up the hill towards the DRS zone. And yeah, this car's certainly not good in the corners, as the McLaren, certainly not feeling it here, but it's still been a decent lap. Now, of course, not lap over yet, still got plenty of time to try and maybe find just maybe even 1 or 2 tenths that could tumble the McLaren off the top spot. 2 more corners to go, and I don't think McLaren, the Haas have got it over the McLaren. No, it hasn't. It does go right now second. Okay, I believe that is ahead possibly of the Force India Racing Point car. Yeah, I do believe that's ahead of Racing Point. Let's see. Is it or is it not? I'm not sure. Let's see. What did the Racing Point do? Racing Point did a 7.3. What have we done then here? 7.8. So that's just missing out by the skin of our teeth. Literally then there. So yeah, Racing Point and the Haas, very similar lap times. Very, very close indeed between them 2 cars. Very little to separate. Right, now comes the Renault. So what that does mean, actually, I do believe, I can confirm the McLaren is the first car that will be in Melbourne, 100% guaranteed. It can't be knocked out now. Now it's down to Renault or Racing Point, really. I think personally, because Haas, whilst it could still go through, it'd have to take a shocker of a lap from one of the top 3 cars in Red Bull, Ferrari and Mercedes. So whilst, you know, this car needs to be a decent lapman here, even though this was the 5th fastest car in F1 2019 throughout last season, of course. And, you know, in the season before, in 2018, they were the 4th best team in matter of facts. So, you know, let's go down into turn 1. Through turn 1, get the car in, tuck the car out, open up the curb, use the car on the right. Right, tuck the car in again, try and obviously open up the DRS, use that to great effect. Open up DRS again. Well, now McLaren is ahead, and question is, will it be a Racing Point or the Renault? I think it could be just a moment away. I believe what's happened, I've let the Renault down, and it is the Racing Point, which is then going to go through most likely now into the final, the semi-finals, then there. So yeah, like that puts it as the I believe the 5th best car as it currently stands. No, third. It's 4th best car as it currently stands, but yeah, it'd be like the 7th or 6th best car. No, 7th or 8th best car as it will stand by the end of the video. So yeah, you know, of course, you know, right, Rightio, so right, I'm gonna obviously now go into the Red Bull, and we'll see what happens next. Right, here we go then. Red Bull time. Now, obviously this car, the 2019 Challenger, won 3 races last year. Germany, Austria and Brazil. 2 of which were crazy races, a bit wacky. But the other one was actually a pretty decent win in Austria. From Max Verstappen. What a combat drive that was. And already, what a mistake. Going off the circuit like that. That's a baby error, quite frankly. But yeah, obviously, it's a decent car with a Red Bull, always. They always seem, Adrian Newey seems to know how to deliver the goods, regardless whether it's a Mercedes turbo domination era or not. Into turn 1, through turn 2, open up turn 3, and literally, unlike other cars, they can just go flat out around there. Absolutely with ease. Turn 4, hook that nicely up. Turn 5. Then through turn 6. 7, up through 8, or some like to regard this as 9, I regard it as 8. So, open up DRS, and right now, that is a good improvement. I think we've gone a bit deep there. Just a tad. I'm going to do a second lap here. Well, actually, I know no need, quite frankly, so long it beats the McLaren. Which it should, or so long it doesn't beat the McLaren. There we go. So it don't beat the McLaren, but at the end of the day, it's through. So I did say it should have no problems getting through, and it didn't really. I made an error, and it's through. So it's through to the next round, which will be tomorrow in Australia. Now onto the Ferrari. You know, obviously, again, this is another car where I would expect it to naturally go through. Shouldn't really struggle all that much. If it does, that'd be quite a surprise. Now, this should be the first car into the 118s. Not sure where into the 118s. Really, that Red Bull should have been. But, oh well. Here we go then. Let's go for it. So first lap in Ferrari, only lap in Ferrari, should easily go through, like the Red Bull did. So right now, Red Bull, Renault, McLaren off, Red Bull, Renault, Red Bull, McLaren, Racing Point are through, guaranteed. Renault is out now, that's almost confirmative after this, most likely. Yeah, as I say, this should be first car into the 118s, I would suspect. And final corner. It's a 118.8, and obviously safely through as well. So that now goes top of the times, and obviously safely through. So, right, final car to come. Again, should be another safely through contender easily into the semi-finals, where we'll do obviously round 2 Australia tomorrow, the opening day of the season. You know, the semi-finals, you know, and obviously we'll probably do the final. I'm going to say Italy. Italy will be the final. So in a way we're getting 3 different comparisons. This one is a medium speed circuit. Australia will be a high downforce circuit, you know, but let's see what this car can do then. One final time, then down into turn 1, then here. For the final time today, let's see what it can do. Open up the car. Use car nicely on the right. So, Ferrari doing the best job in the first sector, but I feel like this car's still got more to give in both middle and final. Because this car, I feel, is a better car, obviously. First 2 sectors are rather simple. Let's see, what this car can do. And what it can do is spin. All natural. Alright, second attempt in the Silver Arrow, in the Mercedes. Yeah, and I do know this car is better in the final sector, so that's really where all the time should be won. A lot of it, actually. It's not bad in the first sector, or in the middle, but it's not great either. as you'll see. I've always found this car easier to drive in the higher downforce sector rather than in a lower downforce sector. I'll continue the lap because it's still a fairly decent lap. Oh, now you'll see what I mean by I find this car easier to drive in the higher downforce sector. You'll see what I mean. Time that comes out of the blue here, usually. Final corner, and okay, it's not bad, not great. Again, right, 119.0, safely through. So right, that's the end of today's video, guys. Thank you for, by the way, 50 subscribers. You know, got now 50 subscribers, which is awesome. So yeah, please subscribe. Trying to get to 100, hopefully, by the end of the year, if that's even possible. Right now, at the current rate, it should be, if we keep on picking up subs. But at the end of the day, gotta keep doing that. So thank you for watching. Until the next time, guys, have a great day.